Good afternoon. In order to provide language access, we will be providing interpretation into Spanish. So I will go ahead and give the announcement in Spanish, and then we will begin. Buenas tardes. Esta reunión contará con interpretación simultánea en español. Si usted es bilingüe, no tiene que presionar nada. Si usted no es bilingüe, tendrá que elegir su idioma para escuchar la interpretación. Si está usando una computadora, verá un icono en la parte inferior de su pantalla, a la derecha, en forma de globo, que dice Interpretación. Haga clic ahí y seleccione Español. Si está usando un iPad o el teléfono, es el menú de 3 puntos en la parte superior, en la parte de arriba, haga clic en Interpretación de idiomas y elija Español. Gracias.
Google. I also would like to say thank you for joining. We will begin promptly at 6:05, and here are some housekeeping items. We're going to wait a few more minutes for guests to arrive. Please visit sbcc/transfer-connection for links to the presentation if you would like to follow along, or if you lose connectivity. I also know tonight is a big night for the World Series, and these presentations are being recorded and will go live on the website for future dates and use.
To my love, and I saw my reflection snow covered hills to landslide again. Oh, mirroring sky, can't shine in my arms like the sun. Can I sail through the changing ocean
Good afternoon. One more time, in order to provide language access, we will be providing interpretation into Spanish. So I will go ahead and give the announcement in Spanish, and then we can begin. Buenas tardes. Esta reunión contará con interpretación simultánea en español. Si usted es bilingüe, no tiene que presionar nada. Si usted no es bilingüe, tendrá que elegir su idioma para escuchar la interpretación. Si está usando una computadora, verá un icono en la parte inferior de su pantalla, a la derecha en forma de globo que dice Interpretación. Haga clic ahí y seleccione Español. Si está usando un iPad o el teléfono, localice el menú de 3 puntos arriba, haga clic en Interpretación de idiomas y elija Español. Gracias.
Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, and thank you for joining. Good evening, and welcome to Transfer Connection 2020. Santa Barbara City College and local partners are hosting our first ever virtual Transfer Connection, a platform to connect local high school students and SBCC transfer students to California, private, independent, and out-of-state university campuses. This is night 2 of a 3-night event and features how to succeed in college and accessing student services. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you are all maintaining good health and spirits during this challenging and different time. My name is Vanessa Pelton, Director of Enrollment Services at Santa Barbara City College, and I will be the host tonight. A few housekeeping items. Please visit sbcc.edu/transfer-connection for links to the presentation if you would like to follow along, or if you lose connectivity, there is a link to the webinar on that website. Here's what that website looks like. You would click tonight's date and you can go ahead and join that presentation there if you should lose connectivity. This will also be the place that the webinar will be posted at a future time. So after tomorrow, these webinars will be posted on the website and you can visit them at any time or share them with others that may have missed this presentation. This information will also be here for the remainder of the school year for the 2021 school year. So if you need to visit that website, you can do so at any time. Registration, so tomorrow is the third night, and it is the most popular presentation, Navigating the Admissions and Transfer Process, a popular topic you won't want to miss. Registration is not required, and again, you can visit the website for the webinar link. I know tonight is a big night for the World Series, and these presentations are being recorded and will go live on the website. Dodgers. During our presentation, guests are able to ask questions and use the Q&A feature that are related to the current presenter, and they will answer the questions at the end of their presentation. There will also be a Q&A at the end of the program for all presenters. Now I'd like to use this opportunity to thank everyone who planned this event the last few months to make Transfer Connection possible. Santa Barbara City College, Enrollment Services and Transfer Center, Santa Barbara Unified School Districts, Santa Barbara CalSOAP, Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. I would also like to thank and share the distinguished guests we have here tonight, Santa Barbara City College counselors, staff, and administrators, as well as high school counselors, counseling and supporting staff, and local community partners. We appreciate their partnership and value your ongoing support. Tonight's presentation will highlight how to succeed in college and accessing student support services. And you will hear from speakers from our EOPS department, DSPS, LRC, and CESJ. Our first presenter for the evening is Ishmael from our EOPS department at Santa Barbara City College. I would like to welcome now Ish to present.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for spending time with us. I know the Dodgers are calling a lot of us, but it's good to be here, get that information ahead of time, as Vanessa said. I'm Ish from the EOPS department, and we're going to talk about what all those funny looking names under our logo mean and what they can do for our students as they come into SBCC. Here's just a picture of kind of the sense that we want to give you about what EOPS is. First and foremost, regardless of the programs that we provide, we are family. We celebrate each other, we work with each other, we really become a tight unit. That is part of the EOPS success model. EOPS has been running for about 50, at Santa Barbara City College for 50 years. EOPS has existed in California since 1969, so we just celebrated our 51st birthday as a statewide program. So EOPS, for the uninitiated, stands for Extended Opportunity Programs and Services. And so who qualifies, or who is the majority of our population, are students that come from the lowest income brackets or the most disadvantaged students on campus. EOPS was born out of the civil rights movement as a reaction to the civil rights movement, to make sure that everyone, regardless of background and social economic status, could get support. 100% of all our students are low income, 90% are first generation students. So that means that students who don't have a parent or someone in the household who went to college from the previous generation. So that can really create a lot of questions for our students that maybe they wouldn't normally be able to have answered at home. 85% are students of color, and historically 90% of our students begin in basic skills, English or math. That has changed over the last couple of years, but we still have a lot of work to do in those departments. So EOPS, as I promised, I was going to explain what some of those acronyms and names under the logo meant. Carries a lot of different services. So we have the CARE program, which is a supplemental support for single parent and guardian households. So it doesn't matter, again, when you're coming back to college, if you're, you're the parent or the guardian of the household and are receiving cash aid, we can help you out. Same thing with CalWORKs. If we have students are eligible for CalWORKs, the Welfare to Work program, they qualify for EOPS services. We also work with Guardian Scholars, which are current and former foster youth. So these are students that at some point or another may have had some instability in having a household, a family, structure around them, etc. We also have the Spark program. So showing up is a summer bridge program for single parents. So single parents arriving ready for college is what Spark stands for. And I'll get into a little bit more of kind of what services we offer there. Running Start, which is another, we actually have three summer programs. Spark being one of them, Running Start being the other one. That's the one that I run, and that is for our recent high school graduates. So the class of 2020 that just graduated in June, 5 of their members got to participate in our 6-week program this last summer. We'll be doing outreach and recruitment for the following program. We also have the Transitions program, which is a year-round program for our formerly incarcerated men and women transitioning into education. They also have a summer program. That's our 3rd summer program. But we also have a year-round component which provides activities, classes, services, etc., for the entire calendar year. And lastly, we also serve AB 540 students. We're one of the departments that has dedicated programming and staffing to that. I am actually the advisor that works with our AB 540 and undocumented students. In the time of COVID, you're probably wondering, how are we supporting our students? Like I said, EOPS really is about creating a family feeling with our students. We are community. We come together to support each other. So just like everyone else, we've had to learn to adjust the way we do things. Typically, our students would come into our office located on the 2nd story of the Student Services building, come to our front desk and ask a question or share a concern, and then they would be referred to the appropriate person, whether it's an academic counselor, personal counselor, advisor, our financial aid advisor. So now we have our virtual lounge, which is our one-stop shop to be able to connect our students to those services. We also continue to do tutoring. Sorry, no, you can go ahead. We also do tutoring online, and I'll talk about just all our services. So this is an impressive list, and it is really what we do every single semester. Like I was just mentioning, we have online tutoring in times when we are able to get close and don't have to social distance. We actually have 2 labs. We have a computer lab. We also have a tutoring lab. In our computer lab, we actually have English tutors helping students out, writing their papers. It doesn't matter if it's for an English class or for any other class where you just might have a paper due. We offer academic counseling. We have 3 full-time and 1 part-time academic counselor to serve our students. Career planning is also part of what our academic counselors do. We do an orientation every semester so students know what they're signing up for. EOPS is not just a gimme program. We are asking for things. We're requiring students to do their part to be successful. We also offer book grants for students that are not part of the Promise or not currently using the Promise. We offer up to $400 every single semester. We also offer emergency grants. All our new students get school supplies. We have peer mentors. So I mentioned at the front desk, somebody will refer you to the appropriate person. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be one of our student staff. And these are previous or current EOPS students who want to give back and want to play that role model role for students. We have a regional leadership conference. We have personal counseling now. We do have a meal plan for our students. So our students get $100 every semester to purchase meals on campus. We have the EOPS Club, which is a service club, which gives back to the college, gives back to the community. We raise funds and donate them to charity or do something charitable with the funds. We provide academic planners. One thing that I will tell everyone tonight, which I think will be of special interest to the parents in the room, is if a student is part of EOPS, we will waive 4 UC and 4 CSU applications at time of transfer. So instead of paying the $90, $100 per college, students will get 8 free applications. And I just heard from our director that we're actually should be covering some private schools as well. I'm not sure about the number, but I know that's coming up down the line. We pay for caps and gowns when you're ready to graduate. We do Thanksgiving dinner for our single parents. We also pay for childcare if you qualify to be part of that program as well. So this is just a small sampling of the litany of the wide menu of services and supports that we provide our students. So to qualify, it's pretty straightforward. Now we have an online application, but for the most part, our students have to be registered for a minimum of 12 units. We can make some exceptions. They have to have done a financial aid application. They have to meet certain state mandated income requirements, and they have to have earned less than 70 units. In addition to that, they have to meet one of the criteria like be first generation, be non-native English speaker, be part of an underrepresented group, former foster youth, etc. Once a student does the online application, or if by the time we get back in person, does an application in person, one of us advisors will actually do the evaluation of the application to let a student know if they're eligible. And so now you know what our advisors look like. I mentioned 4 before. That's only because the young man in black in the middle on the left-hand picture is actually currently our interim director, Noel Gomez. He is in charge. We are currently into a transition in EOPS, and he is the person in charge of the program. He is traditionally the transitions advisor. Chelsea Lancaster on the left, and then Christina Lemay on the right are the single parent and guardian scholar advisors. As you can see, my lovely picture. They're shorter, of course, before COVID. And also we have a really special treat. We have Yesenia Garcia from the financial aid department. She is the EOPS financial aid advisor. So we actually have someone in office day to day who can answer those financial aid questions specifically for our EOPS students. And this whole team is just a pleasure to work with. Our family, as I mentioned, is not just limited to our advisors. We also have our 3 full-time and 1 part-time academic counselors. Our students meet with them on a variety of issues, planning classes, registering for classes, petitions, course planning, planning transfers. They all are just wonderful, wonderful human beings with years and years and years of academic work experience behind them. And they are also, and here are also our peer mentors, as I mentioned. We hire current college students to come into the program and be mentors to our students, especially our young students, our new students, excuse me, that are coming in. We have students who, like Melissa and Leandra, are working specifically with Brianna and Melissa, who are working with our single parents. Leandra's working with our guardian scholars to help them. Right now, during this time of COVID, they're our first contact with students. So they're the ones on the phone, emailing, checking in with them, making sure that we're not letting them slip through the cracks. And definitely not least is our office team. We have Alicia Sanchez, who is our EOPS tech, and Tim Stone, who is our admin assistant. And we have Leslie Marin Juarez, who is also our EOPS program assistant and also works with our transitions program. Awesome team. They are also frontline. And lastly, I did want to share, or almost lastly, I wanted to share just some of the successes that we've had. We've had folks who, like Suzette, is actually an educator in the district. We have students who have gone on to professional careers, transferred to UCLA, Berkeley. We have engineers. Again, keep in mind, these are students who might have been challenged in one way or another coming into SBCC looking for help, looking for success. And we are blessed to have 50 years of experience behind us with 50 years worth of alumni who come back and remind us that the work is definitely worth doing every time they move on to a new level and enjoy some new success or happiness. If you all, I'll let kind of hang on this slide for a little bit longer. This is our email, our phone number. You can Google Hangout, chat us. If you have a Google Hangout, if you don't, you can download it on your app store. You can always check out our website. Those are our hours typically when we're in person. Also, right now, even during COVID, please reach out to us. Myself as an advisor, our counselors, and our staff and our director are always happy to answer questions about the program, refer you to someone else. We really like to think about EOPS as not only a family for our students that are part of the EOPS program, but also family to all our SBCC students. And even if it's a one-time deal, when we direct you to Mary Lou or Jana in DSPS, or Andrew over in Career Center, we'd like to think of you as our family. And so if you want to start becoming part of that family, please feel free to contact us.
Thank you, Ish. That was a great and informative presentation on EOPS. And we do have a Q&A. And at this time, if anybody has any questions, please go ahead and type them in our Q&A. So we'll go ahead and have that question be read.
Ish, somebody has asked, how does EOP or EOPS differ between SBCC or the community college and four-year colleges?
Okay, this is actually a great question. In my household, we've tried to be very clear about that. My wife is an EOP counselor out at UCSB, and I am an EOPS advisor out at Santa Barbara City College. They are different programs. They both do serve first-generation students. We may have similar services, but we're not the same thing. So as I mentioned, EOP has counselors like my wife. EOPS also has counselors. EOP does emergency grants. EOPS does emergency grants, but they were not built out of the same legislation, and they don't provide all the exact same services. So although going to EOP may feel familiar to EOPS students, they are definitely two different programs working ultimately towards the same goal of retention, and especially retention around our neediest students, including our first generation students.
Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, thank you, Ish. We're going to move to our next presenter tonight. Our next presenter is Jana Garnett, the director of Santa Barbara City College DSPS department. And I would like to welcome Jana now.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening. Thank you for being here. And I will try to keep my presentation short and sweet. The first slide here tells you what DSPS stands for, which is extremely important. It stands for Disability Services and Programs for Students. We use a lot of acronyms in college, and so we want to make sure you know what you're signing up for. Also, the next slide here we're looking at tells you ways in which you can contact us, obtain more information following our presentation tonight. We're located in the Student Services Building. Unfortunately, that building is not open to public access right now, but hopefully by the time you are coming to our college, we will be. There's a phone number there. We are answering our phone during all business hours, so you can call when you're ready. We also have an email.
Sounds like we've lost Jana's voice. So I'm going to give it a minute and see if we can get her back.
DSPS/. So lots of ways to reach us, so please take. And before we go to the next slide, I was just going to mention that we have the equivalent of 10 full-time staff in DSPS, and that consists of myself, the director. I'm also a counselor. I like to work with students, my favorite thing to do. We also have 5 other counselors or specialists, and we have 4 full-time service providers that make sure that we deliver what we have promised. So on the next slide, I want to explain exactly what DSPS is. DSPS, I'm going to read this out loud because it really sums it up, is the designated agent of the college that is responsible for ensuring equal access to instruction through the approval of accommodations and services for students with verified disabilities as mandated by federal anti-discrimination laws. So in a nutshell, there are 2 federal laws that are the foundation for our services. I'm sure you've heard of them. One is the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, and the second one is Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. And I want to mention at this point that every college, any college that you attend, will be required by law to have a disability services office. So make sure that you know that. We have a lot of students that come to us from high school and they think that the services end at that point, and that is not true. So we're going to go now to the next slide, and I'm going to talk to you about the actual services and accommodations that we provide students. So the students that come to us and apply, if they qualify, and we'll talk about that in a moment, there's a number of services they will receive. So the first piece are the academic accommodations. I'm going to give you some examples of what those look like, but keep in mind that accommodations are individualized, so no 2 students will have the exact same accommodation plan, and those accommodations are tied to a student's limitations. So some students might have audiobooks, they might have extra time on tests, they might have support with note-taking. Our students receive priority registration, and there's a lot of disability related. And some of our students receive what we call auxiliary aids. Auxiliary aids are ASL, sign language interpreters. Perhaps someone needs a captioner or some other support in class. The other accommodation is reduced unit load. And I want to be very clear about that. The reduced unit load accommodation allows many of our students to be in our SBCC Promise program that requires full-time enrollment. And if you're a student with a disability, you may qualify to be less than full-time and still receive those benefits. And as Ish just spoke about EOPS, we work very closely with EOPS. And they also require full-time status, but if you are a student with a disability, you may qualify also for reduced unit load and still be eligible for the EOPS program. Some of the other services, we support students with ongoing disability-related counseling. So if a student's struggling in a class, they need help with strategies, they need to understand what their options are if they're struggling. We help with that. We also have what we call Learning Disability Assessment. It's an amazing program offered through the Chancellor's Office, and we can evaluate students at no charge for learning disability. Currently, things are a little backed up with COVID-19, the pandemic, and not being able to meet face-to-face. But again, when we see all of you, hopefully that program will be up and active again. When we're back in the building, we have a lab with assistive technology and tutors as well. On the next slide, I want to talk about eligibility. So college is a choice. It's a wonderful option for adults. And just like college is a choice, what services you choose to use are also your choice. And so we always start by telling students, you have to voluntarily apply for our services. We don't come after you. No one can mandate that you use our services. You, the adult student, you make that choice. In addition to that, students that are in college and they're adults, they have to be willing to self-disclose their disability. So you would have to be willing to come to us, share that information with us so that we can figure out how to provide the appropriate services. It's really important that as a student with a disability that you provide verification of that. That sounds really scary. It's not as scary as it sounds. Basically, it means perhaps you have an IEP, an individualized education plan from high school. Perhaps you have a 504 accommodation plan. Maybe you have a medical diagnosis and have records of that, or some other specialist that you see, a mental health specialist that could verify your disability. But we will help you with that. We're not looking to put barriers in your way, but it is something we do require at some point, and we'll work with you on that if need be. And before we go to the next slide, I do want to mention a couple of things. There are so many and misunderstanding around this concept of disability or being disabled. So Vanessa, if you could take us to the next slide, I can talk a little bit more about that. I want to just share that it's important that we all understand that disability touches all of our lives. None of us are exempt, whether it's something that's going on with ourselves, a family member, a friend, a classmate, or maybe something that happens to us in the future. Most of the students that we serve in our program have invisible disabilities. And as you can imagine, many of our students have mental health challenges, and that makes them eligible for our services. And so I want you to be really mindful of the fact that disability falls on a very large spectrum, and there are new diagnoses that are coming out every day. And so that understanding of what it means to be disabled is always changing as well. So by definition, a disability is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activity. And I always share this definition because major life activities are sleeping, walking, eating, talking, breathing, all of those things that most of us take for granted. And there are also major life activities that relate to school. So reading is a major life activity. Going to college is a major life activity. Memorizing, reading, writing, attending to detail, all of those are major life activities. So if you have some condition that impacts learning, you probably will qualify for our services. So I would encourage you to keep that in mind and at least come in and talk to us about what that might look like. The other thing is that we serve students with temporary disabilities, and this is very important. We have a lot of students that might, break a leg or an arm, skateboarding, skiing, whatever it may be. We have students, unfortunately, that might have a concussion, playing a sport. Those are temporary disabilities. We might have someone with surgery who's on medication. We can support students during those times while they recover, and that might be a tram ride, furniture in the classroom. It might be a scribe for a test, might be extra time. So please keep that in mind as well. And finally, on the next slide, I want to tell you how to apply for our services. So the first thing you need to do is apply to the college. You have to be part of SBCC, and you'll have a pipeline account. And once you've got that pipeline account, you can just log into your pipeline. And if you look for the student tab and select it, there will be something that says student resources. And if you click on that, you will find something that says DSPS, Student Online Portal. And that will take you to the application. It is very short and simple. You can complete it within 5 minutes. And once you've done that, you will call us and make your first appointment to go through your application and whatever documentation that you have available to share with us. And that's really my presentation. I would welcome questions at this time, Vanessa, if that works for you.
Yes. Now, thank you, Jana, for all your information.
Sure.
I can also speak on behalf of myself that I was a DSPS student, and I used DSPS many years ago when I was a Santa Barbara City College student. And I also want to say that, yes, DSPS services are all available on all campuses, and definitely it's a resource students should take advantage of. And
actually, can I piggyback on that, Vanessa? You reminded me of something. I also just want to ensure you that we really try hard to remove any stigma around having a disability. Going to college is a pathway to either transferring or going into a career path. And so it's really a high stakes situation. And so students tend to apply and access all the services they can to ensure maximum success. So we really do try hard to minimize any stigma. It's really a mature decision that students make. And if you use our services, you will look like any other student. We keep everything confidential. You're in the driver's seat. We don't share information. It's confidential. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
yes, and I can attest to that as well. Yes, I'm very grateful I used the services I did. And at this time, we don't have any questions. If anybody wants to type in a question right now for Jana, if not, we can wait and type in any questions at the end as well. So it looks like we will move on. Thank you, Jana.
You're welcome.
And our next presenters, we have multiple presenters from our Learning Resource Center, are Vandana, Barb, Beth, and Therese from our Santa Barbara City College Learning Resource Center. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Welcome, everybody. My name is Vandana, and I am faculty in the Learning Resource Center. It is a space on campus right across from that beautiful bridge that you see there and right next to the Luria Library Center. We think of ourselves as a hub of student life, and there you'll find that that faculty and students collaborate on learning. So all your subject areas have tutoring related to it, which is a very important part of your college experience and a very big part of your student success. So I want to welcome you. I'll be saying a little bit more about what we do and what all of us do. Half our team is here, and we were very excited to come and talk to you. So can you go back, Vanessa? The rest of us are going to introduce ourselves too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barb Freeman, and I'm the supervisor of the Learning Resources Center. I actually started out as a Writing Center tutor, and I'll hand it off to Beth.
Hi there, my name is Beth Taylor Schott. I'm an LTA in the Writing Center. That's like a kind of coordinator. And I started out as a tutor there as well. And then Therese is also going to say hi.
Hi, I'm Therese. I'm an LTA in the computer lab, and I too started out as a tutor, not a computer. And I'm passionate about education and learning, support technology, and I love that the LRC can be here to help students reach their goals.
So on this next slide, I just want to share what all goes on in our Learning Resources Center. As I mentioned, it's a very student friendly space, and that picture you see over there is right across from the math lab, and students are working together. You wouldn't be able to tell who the tutor is because they are students just like yourself. So it's the student that's looking towards us, but you see they're all working on the board. That's a pretty common sight in the Learning Center. We have different kinds of tutoring offered at SBCC, which may look slightly different than your high school environment. We have general tutoring, so you heard from Ish and from Jana. They both have tutors in DSPS and EOPS to help with general study skills and academics. We also have course-specific tutoring, so English and math, both of which are courses that you would need to take in your first year, are big in tutoring. The faculty collaborate with us and tutors, and we train them, and they're students like you. So it's a way of giving back and to be building community and mentorship. Then we have subject-specific tutoring. So some areas that I know of right off the bat, we have lots of areas like nursing, computer science, math and English, of course, also foreign languages, drafting, art, you know, all the subjects you can think of, and they happen in class. So some of these tutors are embedded in your class, so they've actually taken your course. So for example, English 110 and Math 117 that you'll be taking in your first semester, some of the students who have successfully completed those courses will be in your course, and they can have the learning for that specific course. So that's very helpful for students. And we have a number of tutoring centers across campus where these are all student-ready for your work you'll be doing on campus when you're outside of class. Of course, we're all virtual now, but those same things apply as well. We offer workshops, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Technology learning support that Therese will be talking about, media resources, and the Writing Center that Barb and Beth will be talking about. Go ahead, Therese.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the computer tutoring. The CLRC offers computer tutoring in our virtual lab. Things I remember about being a student is that I went to a lot of office hours and it really made a difference. In the CLRC lab, we want to make it easy for you to connect with someone if you have questions. And there are many ways to connect with a computer tutor and lab staff. On our next slide, we'll see a link to the virtual computer lab. So it says computer tutoring, and there's a link for the virtual computer lab. And so in the virtual computer lab, there's many ways to connect with and chat with us. We're always there and chat during our open hours. There are Zoom drop-in rooms for instant screen sharing and talking to a computer tutor. You can also make an appointment for longer tutoring, email us or call us. Also, something that we have noticed that I just wanted to share is that it helps to share a screen. So chat sessions can transition to Zoom or Google Meet so that you can show us what you have on your screen. And some students also send us screenshots, and that's also helpful in this remote environment for helping students when they have computer questions. Oh, one slide back, sorry about that. On this slide, some of our common topics that we help students with is Office 365, Google Drive, Google Suite, essential computer skills, and Google Meet and Zoom. And the very last section about resources, the City College has great resources for students that are free. There's a VMview virtual Windows desktop, so students can access the student desktop from anywhere. Virtually have access to all the applications that students would need to do their work. And also there's in pipeline, you'll see links for Adobe, the Adobe Creative Suite, LinkedIn Learning, as well as Office 365, which are also great tools for students. And if you have questions about how to access those, you can stop by the virtual lab and ask one of our computer tutors.
May I just say something before we move on to the next slide? So we are also checking out hotspots and Chromebooks so that students have access to this technology that they can connect with Therese and her team.
All right, so I just want to tell you a few things about the Writing Center. The Writing Center is, when we're on campus, it's a part of the same space that Vandana and Teresa have been telling you about. So all these resources are brought together in the same building as the library, so it makes it really convenient for you. There's also great spaces to work in the LRC, and we just got a whole bunch of really wonderful new furniture that we can't wait for people to be able to try out. So we want you to remember where we are and come find us when you have a chance. But as far as the Writing Center goes, we are offering support services for all subject areas. We offer one-on-one tutoring, so you get to come in when you're in person or on Zoom or by phone or by chat when we're online, and talk to a tutor who's gonna just focus on you and the work that you're doing, and who will have a conversation with you and help you figure out what's going on, what your goals are, what kinds of resources you need access to, if there's a skill you need to learn how to do, what's going on in your paper, what your next steps are. It's a lot like having a personal trainer, but for writing instead of for working out. The fact that you end up working one-on-one with somebody turns out to be really effective. And the way that tutors work with you is really effective. And we know that because we keep track of what happens to students after they come and visit the Writing Center. And we've been doing this for a while, so that we know that on average, students who come to the Writing Center have a 15% better chance of succeeding in the class that they came for than students in that same class who don't come to the Writing Center at all. And that's sort of the bottom level. Some students get even more benefit out of it than that. Excuse me. However, we also know that it can be a little bit intimidating to come and meet somebody that maybe you know and to talk to them about your writing, which, you know, sometimes maybe the project is frustrated or you feel a little anxious about it. But we completely understand that. So we're really thoughtful about how we hire and train tutors. And we're doing a good job with that. We know that because we have students do little surveys and they tell us that they really enjoy meeting with tutors, that it's really helpful, that it goes smoothly, that the tutors are nice and helpful and ask good questions. Hold on just one sec. Okay, so you'll notice that we have a chat that's on our website, and we also have a variety of writing resources and handouts that are also there that are available for you to review.
Okay, and this is Barb Freeman, and for some reason oh, you can see me, perfect. I just can't see myself at the top. I'm the supervisor of the Learning Resources Center, and I'm here to talk to you about our media area, which we have not only in person, but we've also been able to adapt as we work remotely. We have online access to resources through our subscription with Alexander Street Press. And some of the benefits of that are that we have access in multiple languages. You can also search resources by a number of different types, meaning the date that they were published or released. If you're looking for a certain format or content type, sometimes instructors will refer students to our area for a specific type of media as well. Alexander Street Press actually also includes interactive transcripts, which is great. You can also pause, replay, do a lot of different things with the Alexander Street Press videos. We also have media resources, obviously, since we're not on campus, the way we've adapted that to our remote environment. Students can actually request film or video access from our media technician. His name is Julio Martinez, and he can also provide access to workshops that have been previously recorded. And we allow that access for a limited amount of time. And I think the next slide, we'll move on to what we're doing to work with current workshops. And we'll go back to Vandana for that.
Thank you, Barb. And please put your questions in the chat, because I know you may have questions about tutoring that we offer in the LRC and other resources. But you can see one of the things that we are doing this semester, as every semester, except this semester we're doing it on Zoom, is that we offer workshops on several topics that are very useful for students. They get to be with other students and work with faculty and leaders such as Barb and Beth, who's here. So we are advertising these on social media. Please take advantage. It's open to everybody. This Thursday, we'll be doing the neuroscience of successful learning. Like, what does brain research tell us about how to successfully study and what strategies work for students? So we're very mindful of the learning aspect of student life. You can see there's note-taking strategies, things about pre-writing that Beth did, and MLA APA citations, which is how you cite your work, which is, these are workshops that I did. Then one of our professors talked about how to put together Google slide presentations. We've talked about writing as process, time management, exploring online archives, test-taking skills. We had a fun writing workshop last week on Dia de la Muertes, excuse my accent, I am Indian, how, what, and when to cite, stress management. So please, look, the link is right there. Please do join us. And if you have any questions for any of us, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you all for your presentation. There's a lot of information and such an amazing resource to our students for the Learning Resource Center. And please, at this time, if there are any Q&As, you can type them in now. And again, we will allow time at the end for further Q&A if there's needed. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions, so I am going to move on to our next presenters. Our next presenters for the evening is Casey and Alondra, and they are our student program advisors for our Santa Barbara City College Equity and Social Justice Department. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. My name is Alondra Lázaro González. I'm the Student Program Advisor for the Center for Equity and Social Justice. Casey?
Hi,
Okay,
everyone. I don't know if you can see me. I think we have it under control. But my name is Casey Zagari, and I am the Student Program Advisor for the Emoja program.
So I will begin with our presentation today, and we are the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Cultural Competency, and the Santa Barbara Office of Equity, Diversity, and Cultural Competency oversees several important student equity programs and services that support our diverse student population and needs. And the first one I'll be focusing on is the Center for Equity and Social Justice, which our acronym is the CESJ. And we strive to provide a safe and brave space for students of color, women, LGBT+, and other marginalized students on our campus. The CESJ partners with various academic departments, student support programs, and community service agencies to provide workshops, discussions, film screenings, spoken word, and art exhibitions that explore issues of culture, belonging, power, oppression, and injustices in our community. So what we do at the CESJ is that we strive to be a space that informs the SBCC campus and greater community on issues of identity, belonging, equity, diversity, and social justice, as well as we strive to enhance the cultural and educational experience of students by providing a safe and welcoming environment for students to engage in community building and connection, and to amplify the voices of marginalized communities through education and collaboration. And we are doing this also virtually. We are hosting a lot of these events through Zoom, and these consist of, we're doing a series of speaker series. We've already done 2 in the past, and we're continuing to do that, as well as workshops, presentations, and a lot of community building. And we are doing a lot of these with other programs across campus, as well as community partners. And we also love to highlight our own SBCC community. We also strive to confront and explore issues that divide us, such as racism, classism, and ethnocentrism, ableism, ageism, sexism, and heterosexism. We strive to enhance the cultural and educational experience of students by providing a safe and welcoming environment for students to engage in community building and connection. And finally, we strive to create an environment that values each member of our community. Again, our real purpose is that we want everybody to feel welcome and that they belong on our campus, most importantly. So what else do we do for the Office of Equity? The SBCC Office of Equity, Diversity, and Culture Competency also oversees the Emoja program on campus, and Casey's going to take this on.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Again, we're going to be playing a little bit of tag. So for the next slide, we'll be talking about the Emoji. So moving forward, a little bit about us. Emoja is a Swahili word that means unity. This is the official statement for statewide Emoja. Emoja is a statewide program. We do have a few Emoja programs in, I believe, Washington State. I can't think of the name of the school right now that has the program, but that is our only out-of-state program. So we are part of 77 other programs at the moment. But Emoja is a Swahili word that means unity. We are a community and critical resource dedicated to enhancing the cultural and educational experiences of African American and other students. We believe that when the voices and histories of students are then intentionally recognized, the opportunity for self-efficacy emerges and a foundation is formed for academic success. Umoja actively serves and promotes student success for all students through a curriculum and pedagogy responsive to the legacy of the African American diasporas. In really easy words, we just uplift and support Black and African American students on campuses and just make sure that everyone is receiving an equitable education, since folks in the African American community do tend to struggle. Our graduation rates tend to be lower, and as our retention rates, which also means a lot of Black students don't tend to stick around to complete their degrees. So we're here to kind of bridge that gap. Umoja at SBCC is focused on developing students as a whole person. So me as the program advisor, I kind of function as the coordinator for this program. I really try to focus on my students' mental health and well-being, their academic success, their financial success, their personal growth, and definitely making sure that they have all the tools that they need for when they decide to transfer or move forward in the job force. I just want to make sure that they're set and that they're good to go and they feel totally supported through the entire process. Other than that, we do host a multitude of programs, much like the CESJ does. Ours tend to, of course, be a little more Afrocentric focused, but still we try to focus on the entire diaspora. And diaspora, if you don't know what that means, is basically the intertwined cultures that are also mixed with African American or Black folks. So Afro-Latino people and everything in between. So we try to focus on definitely making sure that everybody feels seen and heard and everybody's history is brought forward, and that culture is just a really big part of everything that we do. Moving forward, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of being a part of Umoja, besides getting to see my lovely face all the time. So we do have food vouchers, which when we're in person, food vouchers go on students' ID cards, and they can use the funds at the cafeteria or the bookstore. And this is typically for our students who are suffering like they can't afford groceries, things like that, which is most college students a lot of the times. So we do have funds for that, for them to eat and make sure they have brain food to get through their classes. We also give book grants, much like EOPS does. We give a lot less. We're not balling like EOPS just yet, but we do give book grants to those who need it. Several of our students are also EOPS students, so I do send them to EOPS first to make sure that if I have students that don't qualify for EOPS, to make sure that they're also being covered as well. We also have Umoja supported classrooms, and those classrooms tend to be smaller. Right now, we're only offering English 110 and 111. We're hoping to grow the curriculum sooner than later, but the classrooms are smaller. There is a tutor that is in the class with the students. So when they do have to go to tutoring, your tutor is in the class with you, so they know how the teacher teaches and all that other good stuff, so they can totally 100% support you. We also got a brand new Umoja counselor. His name is Andy, and he's absolutely fantastic. So he's always there for the students. He has drop-in office hours as well as scheduled appointments. So he's wonderful and super helpful. We also have tutoring, so of course for English, and then we have a math tutor currently for pre-calculus and below. We have a lively community. Our center is located, we actually just moved back to East Campus. We're right next door to the CESJ. And you will know when you're close to Umoja. You can always hear my students just being themselves and being involved. Don't hear them if it's during study hours. You'll usually hear music coming from the center. In this virtual space that we're all kind of in at the moment, we are currently hosting Virtual Village Space, which is hosted by one of our student workers. And they have a virtual website for Village Space. So it offers resources as well as photos of other Black faculty and staff, as well as our staff. So students are still familiar with them if they have top-up meetings with them, so on and so forth. And other ways to keep in touch virtually for the time being. And when you're ready to enroll as an official SBCC student, we do have multiple Instagram handles. The top one is our general emoji program. We post flyers for our events, and I try to do a lot of the motivational and encouraging things because we all need it right now. The second one is our male student group. So we have 3 different student support groups, one for male identifying students, which is Ndugu Syndicate. Ndugu is a Swahili word that means brotherhood. That's their handle. And then the Queer Kin Connection is for all of our queer identifying community. There's their handle if you're interested in that or interested in keeping up. And then of course the Sister Circle for all of our female identifying folks. They have a Lively page as well. And once you're registered at SBCC, you can be a part of the emoji community. All you have to do is go to the SBCC website, and if you just type in emoji, will pop up and a big red button, registration, and that's all you have to do, and you're in. So moving forward, I believe next we are going to talk a little bit about the food pantry. So I'm gonna pass it to Alondra.
Thank you, Casey. And yes, available to you, it's a great resource about food. Food insecurity is a real problem across campus, and it's really hard to be a student, study, focus when you're hungry. And we do have available to you the food pantry. It's located on East Campus. And the food pantry is designed to meet the immediate food need of our students on campus by providing a variety of non-perishable foods, fresh produce, and basic necessities to students and their families in a respectful and dignified manner. The pantry is a place where students may receive free food, and this position often bridges students to other resources. So again, it's accessible to all of our students, all of our staff, and all of our faculty. We're partnered with the Santa Barbara County Food Bank, and that's where we receive all of our food to the food pantry. But what's even more amazing is that right next to the food pantry, we have a garden. A lot of the produce that we give out from our food pantry comes from that garden. And this garden is maintained by a lot of students. Because we are technically closed, we don't have the food pantry available right now. But what we do have available in place is the food distribution. And this food distribution happens from 2:30 up until we run out of food. And it's located on West Campus in the staff parking lot, which is 5-1. If you know where campus is at, it's right behind the IDC building. And we are there, the food pantry staff and myself are there every week to distribute free prepackaged boxes of non-perishable foods, fresh produce, and some bread. There's also a walk-up station for those with no access to cars. And each week we do give out an average about 95 boxes of prepackaged foods. And that always includes fruits, vegetables, and bread. And again, when I mentioned that at the food pantry, that becomes another place where students connect to other resources. Another great resource we have is CalFresh. And CalFresh is a federally funded food nutrition assistance program that helps income-eligible households, including individuals who are currently employed, unemployed, or retired, to buy healthy meals. Benefits are generally given on an EBT card that's almost like a credit card and can be used at most grocery stores, including the farmer's market. So who qualifies for these services? So anyone who is a citizen, a legal permanent resident, or a visa holder can apply as long as income guidelines are met. And the qualifications for students applicants is that the student must be between the ages of 18 and 49 and physically and mentally fit for employment and enroll in courses at least part-time. So if you're a student, you can get CalFresh as well if you're working an average of 20 hours per week, if you're a recipient of Cal Grant A or B, if you're enrolled in EOPS, which Ish mentioned about, have a dependent between the ages of 0 to 5, or have a dependent between the ages of 6 and 12 without adequate childcare. So if you want to apply on your own, you can apply to CalFresh benefits, and the link is provided on our screen here. But if you want to make an appointment and actually have somebody help you, we do have trained assisters of CalFresh. You can email me personally, A. Lazaro Gonzalez at pipeline.sbcc.edu. And I can meet you during our CalFresh hours, which are every Tuesday from 4 to 5:30. But if these hours don't fit in your schedule, please email me and I can find a time where it fits your schedule.
Thank you, ladies. So that was the presentation from Alondra and Casey. If there are any questions, we will allow at this time to type in any questions for Casey and Alondra. And at the same time, we can actually open it up to any Q&A that people may have for any of our presenters. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in now. We'll allow a few minutes. This does conclude our presentation part of the event. So again, please feel free to type in any questions as you have them. We'll allow for a few minutes. Also, just for housekeeping going forward, visit our website for any of the information that was presented here tonight. Also for the webinars, they will be posted on the website as well. And it does look like we have a question.
Have any tips for finding these kinds of resources at four-year colleges?
Casey or Alondra, are you able to answer that question?
Yes, I didn't know that was directly for us, but yeah, so at most four-year colleges or universities, there should be a food pantry available. And as far as I'm concerned, already most CSUs and UCs have a CalFresh department or somebody who's already assisting or helping in that way. And all you have to do is really search it up at any of these campuses and you should be able to get some type of help through that. I know UCSB has a great team out there. They host parties of CalFresh when, you know, things weren't virtually. But as far as I'm concerned, a lot of campuses already have these available. So is Food Pantry. Again, I think that our campus was lucky enough to have a food pantry within the last 4 years. But the pantry prior to that was much smaller and it was located in an area that not a lot of students were aware of. So we are very lucky to be able to have our own building where students can come in and get their foods and produce and vegetables.
Thank you, Alondra. And I'm sorry that I actually interpreted that question to be directed at you. And I realized that the question is actually about tips for finding these resources at any four-year colleges. And yes, these resources are available at all colleges. Every department that did present here, the names may be slightly different. As Ish said, EOP is usually found at the four-year schools. EOPS is at some of the two-year schools. DSPS, Disability Services for Students, is available. And then obviously we do have a pretty robust equity department that has a lot of resources. So again, it's for students to try to be their own advocate to find these departments. Student services are available at any campus, and it is really important for students to try to seek out those resources that are available to these students.
Vanessa, I also wanted to say that tutoring is also available at four-year schools. You know, there are always writing centers and tutoring centers and computer labs. So that's definitely one of those resources that students should really take advantage of.
Absolutely. Exactly. All the resources that were presented here, all the services are available at any two-year or four-year institutions.
And if you're ever in doubt, my recommendation would be reach out to the admissions department at whichever college you or your student is looking to apply to, and they should be the hub for a lot of that information.
Thank you, Ish. That was a good one. So yes, that concludes, if there are no more questions, that does conclude our portion for tonight. Again, there is one more presentation tomorrow night. That is the admissions, navigating the admissions process to the four-year. So please attend if you would like to attend that. Again, all the information will be posted on our website for the remainder of the school year. There's a lot of valuable information on that website, so please visit that at any time. And we thank you for attending. Have a wonderful evening.